Hello. I am the Linux Mitch. In my last two Arch Linux install videos, I allowed the automated installer to make my user password and to give me sudo privileges. And I used the automated installer to install a desktop environment for me and to automatically choose what apps would be installed with it. And I wasn't too happy with the choices that the automated installer made. So today I'm going to do an installation of Arch Linux. I'm going to use the automated installer, but I'm going to do a base install. And after the fact, like I've done in many videos, I'm going to give myself a user, sudo privileges, and a password. And I'm going to use my install script, but I'm going to do something different today. So I have a brand new post install script that I just posted today. And that post installation script is going to install 2 window managers and 3 desktop environments. It's going to install the Awesome window manager, the Qtile window manager, the Cinnamon desktop, Gnome desktop, and KDE Plasma desktop, the brand new KDE Plasma desktop that just came out. KDE Plasma number 6. Plus, it's going to install all my favorite apps and things that I like to use. So, let's get to it. I'm in a brand new virtual machine, logged on to the live ISO of Arch Linux, the ISO that came out March 1st, 2024. And first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to type in set font here dash 132B and hit enter. That's better. And I'm going to type in Arch install. And I'm going to move kind of fast. I'm going to go down to mirrors. I'm going to hit enter. I'm going to go down to mirror region. I'm going to use my arrow keys to go down to Canada. I'm going to use the space bar to put an asterisk in there. And I'm going to hit enter. Then I'm going to use my arrows to go down. I'm going to go back. And I'm going to go to locales. And I'm going to go down to this middle one here. And I'm going to click enter. And I'm going to go up to English Canada. I'm going to hit enter. And I'm going to go back. And I'm using my arrow keys to go up and down, right? I'm going to go into disk configuration. And I'm going to hit enter. I'm going to use best effort default partition layout. And I'm going to go down. And then you got to make sure you click on the right one. And I gave this virtual machine a 53 gig hard drive. So I use my space bar to put the asterisk in there and hit enter. And then I'm going to go down, I'm going to make it ext4. And then I'm going to go down and I'm going to say no. Now I'm going to click on disk encryption. I'm going to encryption password. I'm going to put my password in, hit enter, put my password in again, hit enter. And then I'm going to use my arrows to go down to partitions and then click enter. And I'm going to use my space bar to put an asterisk in there, because I'm encrypting the whole 53 gig hard drive of this virtual machine. I'm going to hit enter. And then I'm going to go back. Bootloader is grub. I'm going to keep it the way it is. Swap is on as true. That's a default. But I'm going to say no because I don't need swap. Host name is Arch Linux. I'm going to leave it the way it is. Root password. I'm going to put my root password in. I'm going to put it in again. And now I'm going to leave user account blank because I'm going to do that after the installation is done, because right now I'm just installing a base installation. Then I'm going to use my brand new post install script to install all those things that I mentioned in the introduction. So user account I'm going to leave blank. Profile is where you're going to go if you want the installer to install a desktop environment for you or a window manager for you. But I'm going to do that myself after the fact with my post install script, my brand new post install script, because I'm going to install 5 environments and all my favorite apps. Okay. Audio, I'm going to do that after the fact. Kernel, I'm going to go in and I'm going to uninstall this Linux one and I'm going to put the Linux LTS one in. Okay. Just like that. Now after the fact, I'm going to delete this kernel because there's another kernel that I want to use that uses less RAM. It's the Linux real-time long-term support kernel. And that kernel is in the official Arch Linux repository. It's not in the AUR, but for some reason the installer doesn't offer it as a choice. So after the fact, I have an install script that's going to delete this kernel. It's going to add the real-time long-term support kernel. And my install script is going to automatically make grub, so you won't have to do it yourself. And the reason why is because that is a lighter kernel, uses less RAM, and I like it. So I'm going to hit enter. So for now, I'm just going to use the long-term support kernel. I'm going to hit enter. And now for additional packages, I'm going to type in vim get terminus dash font, and then I'm going to hit enter. Now I'm going to go back, and you can see all I'm installing is vim get and terminus font, and I didn't make a user for myself or a profile or anything. And I'm going to go down to network configuration. I'm going to use network manager, and then I'm going to go to time zone. I'm going to hit the / to do my search. I'm going to do Canada, and I'm going to go to Eastern, Canada Eastern, because that's the time zone I'm in. And now I'm done. And I'm going to go down. I'm going to go to install. I'm going to hit enter. I'm going to hit enter again, and now it's installing a base installation. So when I'm finished this, I'm going to reboot. Then I'm going to make myself a user, give myself a password, give myself sudo privileges, log in as mensch, and then I'm going to use my brand new install script to install Cinnamon desktop environment, the Gnome desktop environment, the brand new Kde Plasma desktop environment, Qtile and the awesome window manager, LibreOffice, the full suite of LibreOffice, Firefox, and all my favorite apps. Okay, so for now, I'm going to pause the video and come back. Now this part's going to take about 5 minutes, so don't go away. Okay, so that took about 5 minutes, and the default is to chroot into the system to make more changes, but I'm not going to do that, so I'm going to use my arrow keys to go down and say no, and I'm going to hit enter. Now the installation is complete without any errors. You may now reboot. So I'm going to type in reboot. And I'm rebooting. And I'm going to make it back to full screen. And I'm going to hit enter. Okay, so the system is encrypted. So sorry about the small font. It's asking me to put my encryption password in to decrypt the drive or open up the drive. So I'm going to type in my password. So this is a base installation. So I don't have a user yet. So I'm going to log in as root. So I'm going to type in root. It's asking for root's password. So I'm going to put root's password in. And now we're logged in as root. Now I'm going to change the font. Set font tier -132B. That's better. So now what I'm going to do is make a user for myself. So I'm going to do user add -m mensch, and give mensch a password. PASSWD without the O and without the R. Password for mensch. Retype it. Now I'm going to give mensch sudo privileges. So I'm going to do vim etc sudoers, and I'm going to scan down. Now normally most people, that is most Linux users and most distributions, would make mensch or the user part of the wheel group. And then they uncomment the wheel group down here. Right, this one right here, but I don't do it that way. I do it the unorthodox way. I'm going to copy this line. I'm going to paste it in. I'm going to delete root. I'm going to put mensch. And I'm going to save the file. And I'm going to exit. And now I'm going to log in as mensch. Put mensch's password in. Now I'm logged in as mensch. Now I'm going to do a make dir. I'm making a directory called .config. Now I'm going to download my GitLab repository. So I'm going to do git clone https://gitlab.com/artibus1/mensch.git. And it's cloning my directory. If that command is too long for you to remember, that command is in the show notes of all my videos. I'm going to cd into it. So I'm going to cd into mensch, ls it, and you can see arch is over there. So I'm going to cd into arch, ls it, and I made a new folder. So on the right, 1, 2, 3, 4 down in blue, it says multi. So I'm going to cd into that folder called multi, and I'm going to clear the screen, and I'm going to ls a. So this is a new folder, and in my previous install scripts, I always gave you 3 wallpapers. This time I'm going to give you 6 wallpapers, the same 3 that I gave you before and 3 more. So the first thing we're going to do is on the far left, at the very top, it says 1 auto app. So now I have 3 scripts here for you to use, number 1, 2, and 3 in that order. So the first one is 1. So I'm going to vim into it, vim 1, just to show you what's in it. And all these apps are in there. There's the full Office, LibreOffice suite, Firefox, ad blocker for Firefox, music player, video players. There's the Gnome desktop environment, the Kde Plasma desktop environment, Cinnamon desktop environment, the awesome window manager, Qtile window manager, GIMP. There's all kinds of things in here. So you can take a look in this. And if you look in this file, these are everything that's going to be installed in your system. So now I'm going to get out of there and I'm going to install it. So I'm going to clear the screen. I'm going to do /1 auto app. I'm going to put my password in. I'm going to just hit default. I'm going to go through this, keep hitting enter and go through default. And now it's installing the programs. It's installing 973 files. This is going to take anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes. So I'm going to pause the video and don't go away because I'll be back. Okay, so now we're done. So I'm going to clear the screen. That took about maybe 10 minutes. And I'm going to ls again. So now I'm going to go into number 2. If you look on the far left at the top, number 2, remove. I'm going to vim into it just to show you what's in there. And I'm going to remove some things. I'm going to remove Discover. Discover is a software center that comes with Plasma, KDE Plasma. I don't really know what it is, and I don't know how to use it. I don't know what the point is because I'm using Arch Linux, and I'm just going to go into the Arch website and see what's available to download if I want to download something, and I'm going to go into a terminal and download it. The second reason is that Discover uses a lot of RAM. I'm going to delete Epiphany is the web browser that comes with Gnome desktop environment, and it's a really lousy web browser. I don't recommend you use it, so I'm going to remove it. And my install script installed Firefox anyways. I'm going to remove Gnome console because I don't like it. I'm going to remove Gnome Software Center because the Gnome Software Center, again, I don't use it because like I said, I go to Arch Linux website. I see if I want to download an app, and I go to the terminal and download it. And the Gnome Software Center uses a lot of RAM. So I'm removing that. I'm removing the Linux LTS kernel because my install script installed the Linux real-time long-term support kernel. And I'm removing Plasma Firewall because my installed script installed uncomplicated firewall. Okay, so you don't have to use this, but I'm going to. So I'm going to get out of there and clear the screen, and I'm going to do /2, and I'm going to run that script. I'm going to put my password in, and this script is going to go fast. And I'm going to say yes. And we're removing that stuff. And I'm going to clear the screen. I'm going to go into ls again. And number 3, I'm going to run configs. At the top there, it's the third one down. It's labeled 3. It's called 3 run configs. So in this script, this third script, I'm going to copy some files. The first line is just copying some configuration files. The second line is going to copy 6 wallpapers into your home directory. There used to be 3 there, now there's 6. This line here is going to set up LightDM. This line here is going to copy my Vim configuration file. This is going to copy my Zesh into root. This is going to enable my Bluetooth service. This is going to enable LightDM. This is going to set up the firewall. Now the firewall was installed in number 1 script, but this is going to set up the firewall. And this is going to make grub because we changed kernels. I deleted a kernel and I added a kernel. So you have to do this. This is going to make grub. Okay, so I'm going to run this. I'm going to clear the screen. I'm going to do /3, and I'm going to run it. I'm going to put my password in, and that's done. Now I'm going to clear the screen. Now I'm going to see if my Zesh is working, and it is. I'm going to switch into root, see if my Zesh is working, and root, and it is. So now I am going to go into Vim, etc, password. And what I'm doing is I'm going to make Zesh my default shell rather than bash. And I'm going to go down to Mensch. And I'm making it for Mensch as well. And I'm going to save the file. And now I'm going to reboot. And we're finished. So I'm not finished the video yet. And I'm going to log into the system. And then I'm going to give you a quick tour. I just put my password in to decrypt the drive. And now we're at the login screen. And so now we're at the login screen. And just in case you notice something's a little different, in case you notice the date and the time, I did my install yesterday. And when I finished doing the install, when I got to this part of the video, to the login screen, my wife calls me to come and eat dinner. And then after dinner, I was too tired to continue working on the video. And today, and now my helper is here. And today I've been at work all day. So I just came home from work and I'm going to continue the video where I left off. So I'm telling you all this just in case you know that the date has changed. I don't even know if you look at that. So we are at the login screen of LightDM. And if you click on this icon here, you see we have all these desktops in here. We have Cinnamon, we have Cinnamon software rendering, Cinnamon on Wayland, which is experimental, Gnome. Now, the funny thing is that this display manager, which I like to call the login manager, there's some incompatibility with this and the Gnome desktop. Now, it still works, but it duplicates everything for the Gnome desktop. So we see we have Cinnamon software rendering, Cinnamon on Wayland, which is experimental. We have Gnome Classic, and Gnome Classic on Wayland, Gnome Classic on Xorg. Again, another Gnome Classic on Wayland, Gnome Classic on Xorg, a Plasma on Wayland, a Plasma on X11, Qtile on Wayland, and Awesome. So it's not duplicating everything, it's just duplicating the Gnome desktop environments. Why? I don't know. It's not a big deal. It still works. But if you use my installation script that I showed in the first part of this video, we also have the login manager that comes by default with Gnome, which is Gdm. And we also have the login manager installed that comes with Plasma, which is Sddm. They're installed, and I'm going to show you how to start those later on in the video. Okay, so for now we're just going to use LightDM, and first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go into Gnome. So make sure it's clicked on, and I'm going to type in my password, and my password is that. And now we are in the Gnome desktop environment. So I'm going to make this full screen. And now in this video, I'm not going to configure the Gnome desktop environment or make any changes to it because I did that in my last video. In my last video, I showed how to install the Gnome desktop environment. and how I would configure it and make changes to it to the way I'd like it to be. So I'm not going to do any configuration in it. I'm just going in here to show you that my post install script works and that we have 3 desktop environments and 2 window managers. Okay, but what I do want to do is, let's open up this. Let's go here and let's open up Xterm. I'm going to make this full screen and let's type in Htop. I just want to see what we're running at. So here we are. We are in the Gnome desktop environment running Arch Linux. And this virtual machine, I gave it 4 processors, 4 gigs of RAM, and no swap. And we're running at 669 megabytes of RAM. Now that's not bad for a full-fledged desktop environment, and it's really not bad for the Gnome desktop environment. Isn't that amazing? So now I'm going to quit out of there, and what I'm going to do is type in neofetch. So we can see I'm in Arch Linux. This is a virtual machine. I'm using KVM QEMU. I've been up for 7 minutes. And you can see we are in the Gnome desktop, Gnome 45. Okay? And down here it's showing we're using 671 megabytes of RAM. Not bad. So now I'm going to log out of here. Now there is one more thing that's notable about using all these desktop environments, and right now we're running LightDM, is that when we're running LightDM, so the Gnome desktop environment, and let's just put the volume up. When we're in Gnome and you click on this, right somewhere around here there's a lock screen button, and if you click it on, it's going to lock your screen, your monitor, and then you're going to have to put your password in to get back into it. Well, because we're running LightDM, that lock screen is not there. So Gnome is meant to be run with the GDM display manager or the login manager, and that's installed. And later in the video, I'm going to run it and show it to you. And if we logged into Gnome with GDM, that icon for locking the screen will be there. Okay, but I'm going to get to that. So I'm going to log out. Let's log out. Now I'm going to click this on and we're going to go into Plasma. There's Plasma Wayland and there's Plasma X11. So I'm going to type in my password and we're going to load up the Plasma desktop environment. And this is the brand new Plasma. So we're at the welcome screen. I'm just going to click on skip. And here we are. The display is off, and that's because this is a virtual machine. So I'm just going to type in display. I should spell it right. And I'm just going to change this to, and I didn't notice if the Gnome was like that or not. Maybe I changed it. So I'm going to apply it. And you only have to do this because it's a virtual machine. So this is KDE Plasma. It's the brand new one that just came out, that was just released the other day. It's KDE Plasma 6. That was just released, and it's really beautiful. I love this wallpaper. It's amazing. I really like that. Now, I'm not that familiar with KDE Plasma, and in this video, I'm not going to show how I would change and configure KDE Plasma, and I'm not going to show how to use it or how to configure it, and I'm not even going to talk about the new Plasma or anything like that, because this video is more about using my new and post install script to have 3 desktop environments and 2 window managers. Now what I'm going to do is, in a couple of days, I'm going to do another video and I'm going to give a review on KDE Plasma 6, and I'm going to take a look at it. Okay, I'm going to type in Xterm. I'm going to open up Xterm. I'm going to make it full screen, and let's do an Htop. Now, wow, that's running high. Look how high KDE Plasma is running at 925 megabytes, and Gnome was only running at 600 and change. So Gnome was running almost 300 megabytes less. So let's quit out of there. Let's type in neofetch. So now we can see we are in Plasma and it's running at 924 megabytes of RAM. So I'm going to close this and I'm going to log out because this is not a review of Plasma, which I'm going to do later. Let's log out. Let's click that. And now I'm going to go into Cinnamon. Now the thing about Cinnamon is that Cinnamon was made and it's maintained by the Linux Mint team. And if you install Linux Mint, right out of the box, the Cinnamon looks nice. But when you install Cinnamon in pure Debian or pure Arch Linux, it's really ugly. Now you can change it and configure it and make it look nice. And it's not hard to do because it's all done in the GUI. But I'm not going to do that in this video. I just want to show you that it's installed. Now what I am going to do though is just change the display. And I'm going to show you the wallpapers too. So let's go to 1360 by 768. I'm going to change the display. Now, in many of my videos, I've showed how I like to change and configure the Cinnamon desktop, how I like to give it a dark theme, how I like to install the weather app. And so you can go back and watch those videos. And maybe in a few days or a week or so, maybe I'll do a short video on how I like to change and configure the Cinnamon desktop, just so it's brand new and for any new people who are following my channel. And if I do it alone by itself, it will be a short video. So I'm not going to do that today. But what I am going to do is just show you the wallpapers, because these wallpapers were installed if you installed my install script. So I used to have 3 wallpapers in my install script, and now I have 6. So what I'm going to do is change desktop background. I'm going to click on the plus sign. I'm going to click on home. And I'm going to open it. Then I'm going to go to Mensch. So these are the wallpapers that I'm giving you. So that's 1. That's 2. I'm sure you're going to recognize this wallpaper, right? There's this one. I really like this one. All these wallpapers you've seen if you've been following my channel. There's this one. And then there's this one. I really like this one. So in the next few days, maybe within the next week, I'm going to do a short video. It's going to be 5 minutes, 10 minutes at the most, on how I like to change and configure Cinnamon. Okay? So now I'm going to log out. And we're going to log into Qtile. And I'm just going to go in here for a second. So this is the Qtile window manager. And of course, I have Firefox installed. And I'm not going to show you how to use the Qtile window manager or how to configure it because I've done videos on that. And I just want to show that I can get into it. Let's quit out of there. Oh, and I forgot to do an Htop when we were in the Cinnamon desktop. So I'm going to be going back into it anyways. So let's do an Htop here. Now running at 359 megabytes, 360 megabytes. Let's quit out of there. Let's do a neo fetch. And you can see I'm in the Qtile window manager at 360 megabytes of RAM. So let's close that. Let's quit out of there. And I'm going to quickly go into Awesome. Put my password in. Now we're in the Awesome window manager. And I'm going to go into Htop. Let's just use my mouse. And now we're running at 340 megabytes of RAM. And let's quit out of there. Oops. Let's open up a terminal. Let's do a neo fetch. And we can see we're in the Awesome window manager. And it's at 346 megabytes of RAM. So I'm going to quit out of there. So let's say you don't like the fact that it's duplicating the Gnome desktop environments. And you don't like the fact that when we're in Gnome, the lock screen doesn't work, and you want to use the display manager or the login manager that Gnome comes with. It's called Gdm. There's two different ways to do this. You can do it in a TTY, or you can just do it in a terminal. I'm going to go to a TTY. So if this is a bare metal machine and you want to go to a TTY, you're going to hold the control button and the alt button down, and you're going to hit F2, F3, F4, one of your F buttons between 1 and 5, or sorry, between 1 and 6. So let's do, now I'm not going to do that because this is a virtual machine. So to get to a TTY, I'm going to click on here. And I'm going to click on, it's Control Alt F1 to 7. Now usually the display manager or the login manager is on F7. So let's do Control Alt F5. So I'm going to click it on. Now like I said, if this was a bare metal computer, then you do Control Alt and hit your F5 button, let's say. But I'm doing it this way, like I said, because it's a virtual machine. Okay, so now I'm going to log in, put my password in, and I'm going to do set font here -132B, and I'm going to clear the screen. If I want Gdm, the login manager that comes with Gnome, to always start when I reboot, then I'm going to type in this command, sudo system control enable Gdm. And if I hit enter, it's going to make it so Gdm, the display manager that comes with Gnome, will always start when I reboot the system. But I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to start it. So I'm going to do start. What it's going to do, it's going to start Gdm, but if I reboot, it's going to go back into LightDM. Okay? So we're going to start Gdm. I'm going to put my password in. I'm going to go back up here. Oh, here we are. Now we're there. So now this is the Gnome display manager or login manager. And what I'm going to do is move my face. You can see my name is here. If I click it on, see this icon down here? I'm going to click it on. Now it gives us the choice of the different desktop environments to log into. And also, if you notice, the Gnome stuff is not duplicated. You just have Gnome, Gnome Classic, and so forth. Now, I forgot to go into Gnome Classic. So when you download the Gnome desktop environment, it comes with Gnome Classic. So let's go in there. This is and now I'm going to put my password in. And there we are. And we are in Gnome Classic. And it's an older version of Gnome that they revived. And I'm not going to give you a tour of it, but it's a little bit easier to use. Now, if you notice, my mouse pointer is a bit wonky, and it has to do with my virtual machine. And I know that for a fact because I have a bare metal computer down below me that has, well, it has the bare metal computer below me. It has Arch Linux with the awesome window manager, Qtile, and Gnome. And the mouse pointer doesn't go wonky. So I know this is a virtual machine problem. And in this virtual machine, my mouse pointer is only wonky when I log in with the Gnome display manager or the Gnome login manager. When I log in with LightDM, or when I log in with the login manager that comes with Plasma, Sddm, it doesn't go wonky. It only goes wonky with the Gnome. That's another little kink. And again, like I said, it's a virtual machine problem. That problem doesn't happen in my bare metal computer. So anyways, and you can see the login screen is here. There's the lock screen. Let's just see if it works. And it does. Okay. So in order for the lock screen to work with Gnome, you have to use the display manager that comes with Gnome. Now I'm going to log out. Let's log out. And there's the icon there. So I'm going to click it on. Let's go into the regular Gnome. Click it on. And now we're in Gnome. regular GNOME. And I just want to see. So here's the lock screen. Let's lock it. And so the lock screen with GNOME only works with GDM, the default login manager for GNOME. And let's put my password in, go back in. And you know what? I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to log out. And I'm going to log back into Cinnamon for a second because I forgot to do an Htop when I was in there. Let's click this on. And let's go into Cinnamon. Oh, I forgot that I put that wallpaper up there. Now what I want to do is, let's just do an Htop here. Xterm, Htop. Oh, see, this is not bad. It's running at 775 megabytes of RAM. That's not bad for a full-fledged desktop environment. Let's quit out of there. Let's do a NeoFetch. And there's NeoFetch. You can see we're running the Cinnamon desktop environment and at 736 megabytes of RAM. And like I said, I'm going to do another video within a week or so, or a few days, and I'm going to show you how I like to configure and make the Cinnamon desktop look nicer. And I'm going to show you how to download the weather app as well. Now, if you don't want to drop down to a TTY to change your display manager or your login manager, you can do it while you're logged in. You can just go into the terminal and do it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start the login manager that comes with Plasma. Okay, so I'm going to type in this command, sudo system control enable Sddm. Now, if I enter this, it's going to make it so Sddm starts when we reboot our system. Now, if we do that, I forgot to tell you, you have to do this. Disable LightDM. Because I have it set right now that LightDM starts when you reboot the system. So first you have to do that. Then you have to do enable Sddm for the login manager that comes with Plasma, or GDM for the login manager that comes with GNOME. Okay, but let's say I just want to start it. I don't want to change what happens on boot up. Then I'm going to do this. Start Sddm. Enter. I'm going to put my password in. And there we are. Now we're at the login manager or the display manager that comes with Plasma. So here, the menu is up here. So the GNOME stuff is getting duplicated in this display manager as well. So the GNOME works best with GDM, the default GNOME display manager or login manager, because it's duplicated here too, but it's not a big deal. The fact that it's duplicated in the menu doesn't look nice, but it still works. Now let's just make sure this works. Let's go into Plasma. I put my password in, and now we're back in the Plasma desktop environment. So I'm going to log out. So now I'm back in LightDM at the login manager, and what I'm going to do is go back into GNOME. Oh, and what I'm going to do too is I'm just going to move my face. And what I'm going to do is open up this. And it's going to go here. And I'm going to give you a brief tour of my apps. Clip grab. So I'm only going to show you the apps that were installed with my install script. So clip grab is a program that when you're watching a video on the internet, you can click this on and it's going to download the video into your hard drive so you own it. Okay? I installed this Bluetooth Manager app. I installed PCman FM, the file manager that I like. I installed Firefox with an ad blocker. This is GIMP. I installed that. That is, I use GIMP to make my thumbnails. I installed Celluloid, which is a program to play videos. And let's see if there's anything in utilities that I installed. I installed Disk Usage Analyzer. Now let's move on. I installed the full LibreOffice suite. Of course, I installed LightDM. I installed Htop. I installed Kdenlive, which is the software program I use to edit my videos. I installed OBS. OBS Studio is the program I use to record my videos. I installed MPV Player. And of course, I installed Xterm I installed Zesh with my Zesh configuration file. I installed Ramina. Ramina is a program I use to remote into other computers. And I know I installed, oh yeah, and Rhythmbox. I installed Rhythmbox. Rhythmbox is a program I use to listen to music. And VLC got installed, but I didn't install it. VLC is not part of my install script. Plasma desktop by default. And that's it. In this video, I showed you how to install Arch Linux the easy and the fast way using the Arch Linux installer, but how to do a base install, and then how to use my install script, my post install script, which I changed and altered. And in that install script, I have 2 window managers and 3 desktop environments. And I showed you how to change your login or display manager. And I gave you a really quick tour of the apps that got installed. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like it and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching. Until next time, I am the Linux Mensch.